Live from Idner Architects, this is Issues in Education. Here to lead a roundtable discussion with leaders in education is moderator John Carney on KTRS.
Now we talk about the transforming of schools with all of this technology that we have discussed so far. And to help us, Dr. Robert Dillon, who's the Director of Innovation, University City School District, Jim Elkins from Cisco Networking Academy, an instructor there, and Dr. Carrie Skeeter, Director of Curriculum and Instruction in the Wentzville School District, and they had the shortest drive of any of them. We also have a student from North Tech that you'll meet in just a bit. Folks, thank you so much for coming in. And Robert, we'll start with you as the Director of Innovation and all of this, about innovation and technology. How difficult is it to keep up? We've talked to our other panels earlier where there's the frustration of we have just implemented a science lab and we have put these computers in, and guess what? That's old technology just about the time everything gets plugged in.
Yeah, great question, John. Thanks for having us, and it's nice to represent the School District of University City. It really isn't about the technology. We have this big technology conference when it really isn't about technology. It's a tool that helps us do the best practices we know. And so beyond the cliche of that is that we all have to be crazy learners these days because the stuff's moving so fast.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where, and this isn't even exaggerated, but you buy a computer, and honestly, by the time you get it home, take it out of the box and set it up, you already need to upgrade. It's like, how did that happen? I just left the store. Jim Elkins with us from Cisco Networking Academy, and North Technical High School has technical in the title. So let's talk about the same issues there of how do you know what to implement that are going to best serve your student body?
Well, specifically with Cisco Networking Academy, we are fortunate. We're fortunate that Cisco itself has made it a point to keep up with the technology and keep our curriculum updated. Over the last 18 years that we've been doing it, we've updated our curriculum about 7 times. And so an average of every 2 to 3 years, we're learning something new. So students that were here 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, they learned things differently than what Miles and his classmates are doing now.
Yeah, I can't tell you how often I cry when my kids are like, I don't understand this Common Core math. Mom, handle this. You mentioned curriculum a couple of times, and Dr. Skeeter's with us from Wentzville School District and the Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Address that. Besides the technology and the frustration of trying to keep up with that, although we know, and as Dr. Dillon pointed out, it is just a tool. How often do we see the curriculum have to catch up to the technology, or is it sometimes the other way around?
Well, I think that previously it's been about the curriculum catching up to the technology. But now what we're trying to do is make things much more nimble and be more responsive to all the changes that we see. So writing things a little bit broader, a little bit more open-ended, so that teachers have the opportunity to select what's going to fit best for their students at that moment in time, rather than following something that's incredibly prescriptive. So we try to be, like I said, nimble.
Now, do you find that the tools in the technology are good enough that as the curriculum changes, you can still, say, maybe put that app on that particular computer, or it's like, that's too much memory, there's too much stuff there, now we have to get new computers so we can run this program of something new as far as a curriculum that's just come down the pike?
I would say probably most schools, most districts are not married to the program or to the app. It's more about what it is we're trying to teach and how does that program or app become the vehicle to help us teach. So I don't think that is as much the issue as much as sometimes the state deciding that we need to rewrite our standards.
Do you find that it's ample? Because, in other avenues of our life, it seems to me, maybe just because I'm old school, but there's technology that comes out that, for me in my life, I don't even need. So it's like, why does it have a camera on the front and the back and the side, for example? Does that happen in education too, where it's like, okay, another tool's come down? It's like, well, what we were using was working fine.
Yes, I would say definitely. But I think the thing is that if we listen to our students, they can show us and tell us how we can take the things that we may think are not relevant to education and show us how to make those things relevant to what they're learning.
Dr. Dillon from U City, as you listen to the student body, you've got kids that are learning at different levels. So there's some that totally get it and know their way around this kind of stuff. One you'll meet in just a moment in Miles Anderson. But there's others that are totally lost by this. So how do you make sure nobody falls through the cracks and make sure that the innovation is good for general consumption?
Yeah, and there's certainly a difference between using technology, using your cell phone, and using it for academic purposes. And I think all of our teachers are trying to figure out how to get all of our students to where they can really be able to use that technology in a way that doesn't get stuck on the device, because they're going to use 10 devices and the worst device they're ever going to use is the one they currently have. And so we're really trying to build kids that are able to kind of do that, be creative and communicate, collaborate, and use the technology to do that. But the one thing I really like is that we're getting to a point in time where the technology we have is really able to personalize learning. And we're able to get software that really meets kids right where they need to be. And it's getting better and better than it ever has been over time.
Is it individualized enough, though, that someone that's not quite as savvy can keep up with somebody who is completely computer?
We're getting close. We're getting close. I think that 5 years ago I would have said no. And I think we're really close to being at a time where we can meet all kids' needs with different types of technology.
Jim Elkins is one of the educators at North Technical High School. Is it a challenge for you where you kind of get set in your ways? Like, I really like this technology. I really like this app. This helps me with my lesson plan for my students. Yet it comes down on high, we're going to start using this particular program. Or are you kind of left to your own devices technologically?
Well, when I started with this program, I lost that ability to be able to decide because, it has changed so much. And I really don't get the opportunity to say that, this is, good. Although, it is very good. But since we know it's inherent in our program that change is inevitable, things that I taught 20 years ago are irrelevant now, and
right.
10 years ago, and then 10 years from now, if I'm still there, then, it's going to be completely different then as well. And so I embrace that. I look at it that I never teach the same thing 2 years in a row because there's always something new. And that's what keeps it fresh and exciting for me and for the students. It's not rehashing, what we did last year.
Speaking of students, we have one, Miles Anderson, who's a senior at North Tech High School and been waiting for his opportunity, and here it is, brother. You want to do a song? What do you want to do?
I'll break out in song right now for you. What do you want?
Now, we talked off the air. You obviously have a pretty good grasp of technology. So tell me about the landscape with your fellow students. Do you think that most of them are pretty hip to this stuff or no?
Hip. That's interesting.
That's what us old
use.
people.
Yeah,
all right, I'm 53. Okay.
Well, I guess you could say that a lot of the students are hip, quote unquote hip. Like we have a basic understanding of the technology that we use, but when we come into this program, it definitely helps. It rounds us out on going more in depth with technology.
Does it come too fast, though?
Too fast. What?
Does it? The technology, just when you get something down, and I was talking to them about this. And, all right, there's a new advent, there's an update, there's an upgrade, there's this. Do you need that? Is it a little overwhelming? I think it would be.
It can be. It can be a little overwhelming. Technology is tedious at times. That's just simply how it is. But, being young, we're always moving. We have energy. We have time. We love change. So as a young and a new student to this academy, it's a good thing that change is happening. And I think that having a lot more random ideas just come to you is a really good for the mind to help get it thinking and being innovative.
So pitch the technology to the student that's listening or to the parent of a student who is kind of lost in the shuffle here.
Okay.
Embracing the technology and understanding this, how has it helped further your education from your perspective?
Embracing the technology that's introduced to us students in that class, it's important because what it does is it allows us to understand how technology is used in the applicable world, if that's the right term to use, but how it's used in the business and how you're going to use it when you go to work. So, like, we learned about routers, switches, access points. These are all really common tools that a lot of people may not necessarily know. They can hear the name. You hear router. You know what a router is, right? But may not necessarily know the complete functions of this
Mine's
device.
a dial-up,
A
by
dial?
the way.
Are you serious?
Yeah, LOL. I was #kidding.
I don't know.
See, I know.
Wow.
I
That
don't
was
know.
good.
That was good.
I know some stuff, not very much.
They're hashtagging on the radio.
Dr. Skeeters from Wentzville School District, Director of Curriculum and Instruction. And we've talked a lot about the technology. And one thing that not necessarily concerns me, as I've been out of the world of education for so very long, is what about the personal instruction? And I liken it to going to the grocery store, and I miss having someone doing my checkout. Now it's, self-checkout. Just use the machines, go to the bank, use the machines. We're not getting face-to-face time in real life anymore, and it's my fear that this pours over into education.
Well, I think that's a pretty relevant, real fear to have. But I don't think that we can ever take the teachers out of education. It's a pretty personal experience that we have to create for students. And someone has to be behind the scenes figuring out how to engage the learner, figuring out how to make things relevant for the learner, make authentic experiences for the learner. So while there may be a piece that becomes very individualized, where I am one-on-one with the computer and not necessarily one-on-one with the teacher, there still has to be the personal experiences, a personal engagement that we have with a teacher, a facilitator of learning, to help make it and continue to be authentic and relevant.
Dr. Dillon, same question. Since innovation is on your business card, how do you avoid being taken over by technology? Your syllabus is online, your study guide's online, your homework's online, people are getting their degrees online. So how do we keep that human interaction element alive in this tidal wave of technology innovation?
Yeah, we are probably innovating the old model of teacher away. Is probably honest, but we're not innovating away.
Like they hit you with a sandwich.
Catholic school. Yeah, that.
They're
right?
back to the nuns smacking you with the yardsticks.
Right. No, but you know what? We're never going to get rid of mentors. We're never going to get rid of coaches. We're never going to get rid of partners. We're never going to get rid of people that can actually walk on a learning journey with you. And so the role of a teacher is absolutely changing. And we have to continue to grow teachers, both the ones we have and the ones we're going to get, in that mold, or we are preparing ourselves to be obsolete.
Doc Dillon with us from University City School District, also Dr. Carrie Skeeters from Wentzville, Jim Elkins also joining us, Cisco Networking Academy instructor, North Technical High School. All the acronyms they have, and you don't have one. That should have an acronym.
Actually, SSD, Special School District.
All right, there you go. Be a lot easier. And Miles Anderson, watch out, world. He's a senior. Next year he's being unleashed from North Tech High School. Thank you all so much for your time. It's Issues in Education, brought to you by Edner Architects, and we come to you from the METC Conference